It's been a while. I got a new job and I've really had to practice work-life balance. Today I'm going to talk to you about this, mental energy balance. Specifically, 7 ways that you can increase your brain's IQ, focus, creativity, and logic. So if you recall, I have been talking about energy management versus time management, and the wheel of life balance is here. We're going to talk about mental, which is number 2. It's the second most important out of the 4 energy sources. If you don't know who I am, I'm Susan Nascimento. I'm a corporate executive. I'm a top 1% Pepperdine graduate of management and leadership. I'm a mother of school-age twins, and I've been married almost 20 years. So I'm constantly working on work-life balance, and I typically get it done through energy management more than anything. That's what helps me get really my mojo going. So I guess if you're watching this, if you're feeling like totally burned out and you work to the point of exhaustion, in fact, that's probably I'm probably low on my mental one because I'm constantly working until I literally drop. So this one is the one that I have to work on the most. I actually read that your brain uses 20% of your calories when you're at rest and 25% when you are actively thinking. So even though you may not be moving, your brain is consuming more calories when you are fully engaged. And that's why, like, let's say if you went to school and all day studying, or you were at work and you did a ton of brain work, you feel exhausted because you spent a lot of more brain calories to get there. If you have ever had a performance review and they're like, man, you killed it this year. I mean, you didn't take any breaks. You stayed up late. You did whatever it takes to get this done. Keep it up because that's what's going to get you to move up, or keep it up so you can see these awesome reviews. But honestly, it's not sustainable, and it's self-defeating as well, because you'll find what I'm going to share with you is that you're actually hurting your chances. You're actually lowering your IQ. You're lowering your ability to make better decisions. So let's talk about the 7 ways that you can kick this mental energy score up. So, and if you're listening right now or not listening, I go back and check the comments on a regular basis. On a scale of, let's say, 1 to 10, what would you rate your score for your mental score? Like how much you're allowing yourself to kind of take some downtime, because that's really what your mental score wants to be like. Like you feel sharp, you feel focused, you're creative, you can make decisions instantly or pretty quickly. All of those things. That being that, I'd say right now for me, I'm probably about a 7, and ideally I'd like to be at an 8. That's a really good score for me. Anything above that is gravy. So I know I have a little bit of work to do, but there's times that I can push that score to a 5 just by exhausting my brain and not taking breaks. Okay, number 7. The first one is exercise your brain by doing the opposite of what feels natural to stimulate both hemispheres. So ways that you can do this is sometimes I'll brush my teeth I'm right-handed, so I will do it with my left hand. Or I will, sometimes I like to journal. So if I'm in a meeting, I might journal with a linear, step 1, bullet point, step 2, bullet point, or, point or whatever. I might do it very linear, and the next meeting or the next day, I might do mind mapping, where I have a central theme, and then there's all these radiating thoughts that come out of it. Okay, so that will help. The point is that when you exercise your brain and make it feel awkward and uncomfortable, that's actually when it improves itself. So just like a muscle, it's that awkward phase. It's that straining it that actually starts to do the process. And then once you rest is when it actually increases. Okay, step number 2, or tip number 2, whatever. Work in sprints versus marathons to increase your creativity and focus. So the whole point here is that you want to rest intentionally. And they found that the sweet spot of the rest is every 90 minutes, take about a 5-minute break. So again, here in the comments, just tell me, how many breaks do you take a day? I'm going to tell you, again, this is like the one that I have a hard time with. I will usually go through a whole day without taking a break. So this is something I need to intentionally tell myself. Sometimes I need to set a timer, and that's the way I get it done. Or I'll make a walking meeting so I can get away as well. So I'll be walking. But they find that people who do this, and really only about half, 51% of people take one break a day, but you need to take a few more than that. When you are taking breaks every 90 minutes, studies show 40% greater ability to think creatively, 30% higher level of health and well-being, 28% better focus. So it's just in your benefit to take a little 5-minute breaky poo. Even better if it's out of the office space. Tip number 3, meditate to give your brain's executive functioning. This all comes from here up at the top, the prefrontal cortex, for your executive functioning, and your focus muscle a workout. And I know if you're meditators, you are like, yeah, duh, no way. Of course. I mean, but if you don't, you're like, yeah, no way. I know when I started meditating, I've been doing it now for about 1.5 years. At first, it felt really awkward and silly, like my mind couldn't focus for longer than a minute. I would then start thinking about my to-do list, or I would have these weird things like, okay, now I'm thinking about Brad Pitt or Taylor Swift. Like, nothing makes any sense what I'm thinking about now. And now I'm thinking about how I'm thinking about something so incredibly weird. But anyways, every time you bring your attention back to the fact that you're not in the present moment, you're actually building up your gray matter in your brain. And that little present refocus is kind of like one muscle rep on your focus area of your brain. So every time you're doing that, actually go, oh my gosh, I just did a little brain workout and I'm improving my focus. And it's totally normal. Don't judge yourself. Just really be aware and notice it, if anything. And that's why over time you'll start to go longer, because you're increasing the gray matter in your brain that's actually thickening. They actually have done studies that says it takes about 11 hours, I think, of total meditation, where you can see like the gray matter in your brain starting to thicken. Usually I think that's right here in the middle of your brain, so where the hemispheres are kind of starting to come together. So you're actually blending the right and the left brain together to have better balance as well between your brain. Kind of think of it as a highway, like you've added another extra lane on both sides of the highway, and kind of like a fast track lane in the middle. It's when I think of that, it's great. Honestly, the best 2 apps for meditation that I have found, and I've tried a lot of them, my favorite is Headspace by far. I love the British guy's accent. If I hear UK people now, I just kind of like zen out. They have a free 10. Just do that. And if you like it, do the paid version. The paid is pretty pricey. But if you really want to meditate, it's really good. And if you want a free version, then I would recommend this one. I've just been doing a lot lately, is Insight Timer. And you can get all sorts of different options. I love the Zen guitar. Like, I don't know why, it zens me out, and sometimes it makes me cry. I don't know, it just hits a spot for me. Number 4, smell your way to focus and concentration. So I will take usually some blends. I've got a Harmony blend, essential oil, and I'll put it into like a little vial, like a brown vial, and it has a metal roller on top. I should have brought it with me. And I put coconut oil in there and about 20 drops of the essential oil. The droppers are like this tall, and then I'll just kind of roll it on. I might put it over, like my little mustache area, so I can smell it. I'll put it behind my ears, and I'll put it behind my wrists, and then rub it in. And that has been shown to kind of just help on focus and concentration. The 5th item is to do a digital detox. And I will say here, the easiest way that you can start here is by doing it in the bathroom. Like, how many of you are taking your phone into your bathroom? I, for one, will say I'm sometimes guilty of that. So anyways, start there. They actually find that if you are on digital, phone, laptop, iPad, whatever. If you're like so connected to technology, studies have shown that it's actually worse than smoking pot. It lowers your IQ by about 10 points. So I recommend that you start with just detoxing from your digital stuff. Start small so you feel like you're being successful. So again, start with the bathroom breaks, and then from there, go like, okay, I'm going to go for an hour with no digital time. Ideally, you want to work up to once a week. So you might do once a month, but something, or even for 4 hours a day, but get to that point where you can start doing it. It's kind of like meditating. Maybe you meditate for 1 minute, and you work up from there. It's the same with digital detox. So again, just stop taking your phone into the bathroom, people. And I'm just telling myself that. So like, give your brain a rest from being an infomaniac. The 6th pattern is to perform a brain pattern interrupt with what's called a 16-second breath technique. And this increases logic. So you can do like you could double down on this one. So when I go into the bathroom and I don't take my phone in, this is where I do what's called a pattern interrupt. So I will, what you do is you take a breath in on the count of 4, you hold for a count of 4, then you release on a count of 4 and pause for 4. So just do it with me. If you're watching me right now, I see some of you are there. Hey, Dee Dee. So go ahead and take a breath. Hold. Hold. And if you do that about 3 times, what you're doing is you're interrupting the pattern in your brain. It brings more oxygen into your brain. It just interrupts, like you might be having like automatic negative thoughts. I tend to have those once in a while where my little inner critic just won't shut up. And it's a way to silence her, or to get me to just stop thinking about whatever it is that's getting me to be there. It also just kind of gives a little bit of your amygdala, which is kind of in the middle of your brain. It's just overreactive and that gets stuck there. Kind of think of it as a car shift in your car, and like you can't get it into drive. It's just in reverse. And so for me, I just go in circles sometimes with a thought. That breathing will stop the blood flow to the amygdala and allow your prefrontal cortex to get some brain where you're more of executive decisioning, your logic is coming from. So it just kind of allows you to calm down. I do this too when I'm in a meeting and I'm getting really pissed off about something that somebody's saying, or I'm not getting my point across and I need to calm it down. Okay, the last one, the 7th tip, to boost your mental energy scores. And so this one will boost your IQ, your memory, and your learning, and your temper. People who have their water boils a little too fast, is listening to Mozart. So there was study after study after study that I came across from very reputable sources that said that Mozart, when you listen to it, it improves your spatial IQ by anywhere from 8 to 9 points. Now they found this with specific Mozart songs. So they were saying sonata for 2 pianos, violin concerto. Hope I'm saying that right. Number 3 or number 4. What I've done is kind of a playlist of those in Amazon Prime if I want to listen to specifically those, or I just have a Pandora station and I turn on classical. So sometimes when I just want to give myself a break, it might be my 5-minute break that I'm taking outside, I just might listen to some classical music or something. And that really kind of warms up your brain, they say. So the summarized short version of the 7 is 1, exercise your brain by doing the opposite of what feels natural to stimulate both of those hemispheres, because we're always working the right logical side. Get that left side, so the creativity side, it needs it. 2nd, work in sprints versus marathons to increase creativity and focus. So that's 5-minute breaks every 90 minutes would be ideal. 3rd, meditate to give your brain's executive functioning and focus muscle a workout. Start small, 1 minute. Remember, if you zoned out and you had to bring it back to the present, that's actually a good thing because you're exercising your brain to focus. 4, smell your way to focus and concentration. Get some lavender essential oil and put it on some of your areas where you can smell. 5, do a digital detox to increase your IQ by 10 points. Again, start in the bathroom, little baby steps. 6, perform a brain interrupt with a 16-second breath technique to increase your logic. And 7th, boost your IQ, memory, learning, and lower that pot of boiling water that's called your temper with listening to Mozart. So the last two, so if you lead teams, and leading a team could be like you're a people manager at your office, or let's say you're trying to influence a project that you're working on, or you have a team at home. Like we all lead teams in a sense at home, or we're leading projects in our personal life. If you do that, this is probably geared, though, now that I look at this, more to people who are in the working environment. So if you have the privilege of leading others and you want to have high employee engagement, you want to increase their scores in all of these four energy sources. I got to figure out the angle here, right? So I talked about spiritual in the last one, the mental one. So this is what you can do for your staff. Yes, Dee Dee, I love it. Classical music. Woohoo! Okay, so first one would be schedule email time only during traditional working hours. So if you are sending email during the weekend, off hours, you may say to your team, I don't want you to work weekends and nights, but you're telling them something different in what you're doing. You're not telling them that they need to have downtime and recharge. And when they're doing that, you're actually going to get a better worker. So what I recommend that you do is, if you're working flex hours, and sometimes I do, all I do is I turn off my send receive button. So I'm like in work offline mode in Outlook, or I'll hit the button that just says schedule the delivery. And I'll put like 8 a.m. on Monday, for example. So it goes out, or I say 8:01, so it doesn't look like I've done it. And of course, if it's the 1% red hot emergency, send it. But try to get into the habit of not doing that. The second one would be to schedule email time only during a few hours a day, and or have the team pick a no email day. So every time you're getting an email, you're getting sidetracked. It takes about 15 minutes for your brain to pick up that focus and mojo again. So the best thing to do is like schedule a block of time. Now for me, 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. is just kind of like my sweet spot. If you're a morning person, morning might be better for you. I'm a night person, so I kind of like to do it later in the day. I pick then and I send all my emails. So when my team is getting it, they're not getting it in drips throughout the day. They just get it in one block. And the other thing that you can do is to pick a day with your team and say, hey, no email on, let's say, Friday. Like, have them pick the day and just agree to it. Pick up the phone or allow that to be strategy time. Try it out. It might not work. Say, you know what, all we're going to do is try this for the next 3 to 4 weeks. And if we don't like it, it's gone. But try it out. Just a no email day. And you know what, I think it'll be just like sacred, strategic thinking time, creativity, less reactive. Okay, so if you're still watching this, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And if you have friends that you think are a little kind of like burned out mentally, they're like burned out to the point of exhaustion, share this with them or just tag their name in it. And I'll always go back and look at the comments and see if somebody shared it and just give a shout out and say thank you personally. I really appreciate it. When I'm done here, I'm going to put on a link if you want to get my little free tool to score yourself on how you're doing on your energy scores. Go ahead and do that out. And then next post, I'm going to be talking about physical. Let's get physical. Oh my gosh, I just went back to my Olivia Newton-John days. Got to get the classical back in my head. Anyhow, I'll be talking about that next time. And I'm sure I will have some creative things to talk about that you haven't heard before, like, you know, get more sleep and all that, and nutrition and exercise. Let's be real, like it's got to fit into our life. So peace out, my friends. Love you and talk to you soon. Bye. Go kick some ass.